While we are still learning, and we will continue to learn, I fear, the horrors of that ghastly night and morning, while we're still seeing headlines like Grenfell firefighters hampered by equipment, while we're still learning of the disaster, while we're still finding out things such as fire crews citing low water pressure, radio problems, equipment that was either lacking or didn't arrive before the fire on the 14th of June got out of control. Well, Newsnight has learned a high ladder did not arrive for more than 30 minutes, while we're still coming to terms with what those poor people experienced in the early hours and beyond, what they're still going through now. We learned this week that on the government deadline for rehousing people, 3 weeks, it was pledged by Theresa May, so few have accepted temporary accommodation because they don't want to be moved hither and thither. When we hear of these stories, when we hear of the ongoing suffering and trauma, how we can have people calling me up on national radio and saying that they should be deported, that anyone living in that tower who is of illegal status, and we don't know whether people were indeed of illegal status, but it's suspected that maybe some were, and the authorities are very concerned that they come forward to let them know that they are safe. And yet we have people calling in saying they should be taken to Heathrow and deported immediately. Others who say that 12 months is more than generous. Others, again, who say that 12 months, that's enough. That's fine. That's okay, 12 months. But then out you go. How we can live in a country with a government, unable, of course, to win an overall majority, says you can only stay here for 12 months if you are of illegal status, or that you will be checked on. You will have to undergo a certain process after 12 months. How we can live in a country that can allow a fire like that to take place in the first place, and then say to survivors, well, after 12 months you might be deported. I think it's grotesque. Mark's in Bracknell in Berkshire. Mark, good morning.
Good morning, Matt. Like, you're very confused by, like, the last gentleman, I'm very confused why you feel that we should suddenly fling our arms open to people that have broken the law.
Because they've been involved in an inferno that reached perhaps almost unprecedented temperatures.
OK, look, let's put it this way.
It's not very difficult, is it, Mark?
Well, I would say, yes, they've suffered. They've suffered horribly, but then they've also... They shouldn't have been here in the first place. It's like if I was to steal your car, drive it down the road, break my leg in the accident, am I no longer guilty of stealing your car because I suffered a broken leg?
I understand your analogy. It's quite a clever analogy, if I may say so. But I think what we're dealing with here is we're not dealing with the sort of crimes that maybe involve knives or guns. We're not dealing with rape or murder. We are dealing with people who came for whatever reason, probably quite possibly out of desperation, for the desire to improve their lives and the lives of their families, who come to this country and escaped the border controls, escaped our net, and of course that shouldn't be encouraged. Of course it's wrong. Of course it is illegal, and I totally understand that. But the horrors of the circumstances in which they found themselves on the 14th of June, for me, supersedes that particular well, I was going to say misdemeanor. It's not a misdemeanor. It's very serious, but supersedes what they've done wrong there, and the trauma that they've experienced, and the trauma that unfortunately some of them are likely to continue to experience, mean that we as a country owe them, even though they were here, some of them perhaps, and we don't know who was and who wasn't, if indeed anyone was, even if they were here illegally. I think I would feel I am a very proud Brit, Mark, as you'll know if you listen to this station. Yeah. I am a very proud Englishman. I would be a more proud Englishman and a more proud Brit this week if our government, a government I didn't vote for, had said, no, you have been through such exceptionally awful, traumatic circumstances in the last few weeks. We are going to let you live here for the rest of your life, even if you came here illegally.
I think you set a precedent for everybody coming over saying how hard their life has been. And
no, you don't, because these people went through a fire, Mark. It's different.
Yes, they went through a fire. They went through a horrendous... Yeah, I understand that. And a lot of people in this country have gone through horrendous things that have happened in their life. But they came over on... You know, a lot of them probably came over and said they were students, never went to college and spent the rest of the time working bad jobs, which we probably need them to do to fill the lower paid end of the market, but they still outstayed their visas. And now they've outstayed the visas, they've been found, they go home. Nobody's saying that we should, humiliate them and flog them down the street. We look after them. We put them up. We look after them. We take care of them until that time comes.
Put them in a nice 50, 100 quid a night hotel in Heathrow, and then pack them off to where they came from, right?
Absolutely.
Mark, we totally disagree. That's Mark in Bracknell in Berkshire. I can't understand the lack of compassion in my so-called fellow patriotic Brits. What is going on with this country?